Phil Collins, No Jacket Required, right now on States and Kingdoms. Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. We are talking about Phil Collins and his solo album, No Jacket Required. Obviously, it's a solo album. Why did I say that?
I don't know.
From 1985. Thank you so much for watching States and Kingdoms. If you like what you're seeing here, please make sure to hit the like button. Please consider subscribing. Also, we would love to have you here, and make sure to send lots of comments. We like interacting with you guys, and thanks again. So let's get into it.
Phil Collins.
Yes. It's a very orange album.
I just say I really don't like that he redid all of his covers.
I don't know why he did that.
I don't really like that.
I don't like, in general, going back and redoing anything.
No.
Like, just leave it. It's done.
Yeah.
But,
the quality that you see in our videos very often, I'm sure.
We never go back and redo anything.
Oh, well.
Leave it. It's very funny. When we're old, we'll redo all the videos.
Yeah. Exactly. So I shouldn't judge. We'll do the same thing.
Just the thumbnails. Just wrinkly old me on all the thumbnails. Anyway.
I can't lift this record.
So we've obviously spoken a lot about Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Big Genesis fans over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it'd be fun to talk about a Phil album.
Right.
I really like this album a lot. I think it's sorry. He goes. It's an interesting time. He'd already put out some solo records. Genesis was still in the middle of recording, and they were about to, work on
bigger than ever.
Invisible Touch. So it's a really interesting time. I mean, he's really so massively successful right now. It's nuts. I can't even fathom how you're in this crazy successful band for years, and then you break out on your own and you're a giant hit, and you're still working with the band, which is getting more and more popular. I mean, who didn't want to be Phil Collins in 1985? Anyway, you wanted to be Phil Collins.
I wanted to be Tom Collins.
You had his hairline that year. Anywho. Starts out with Sussudio, which is I think it's a great song.
Yeah.
The rhythm of it could have been a Janet Jackson song. I don't know if you like that or not.
I don't know what to say to that. I was gonna say
it's
something.
such a great beat.
Yeah.
It's really got awesome
listening
beat.
to on with a decent, stereo field and everything, it's to me, this album and this song always sounded so busy, but it is interesting. You really do need to listen to it with, on good headphones so you can really hear, the horns coming out of, everything, him and some of the, the percussion coming out of the middle. I don't know what this gesture is. And, anyway, and one thing is, I said before we were recording, because that's when all the good stuff happens, is that, some people, not objected, but just said this was just gibberish, like authentic frontier gibberish.
Oh yeah, word Sussudio.
I don't know, that's a part of rock and roll.
If you look it up in the dictionary.
Anyone remembers, Bebopalula or Bopalina or any,
right. You can make up words, it's okay.
that really isn't an objection in any way. It's a part of rock and roll, so it doesn't,
Yeah.
It's a good song. It is a good song. It's a catchy song.
Yeah.
I didn't say this before, I'll say it just right now. I never really liked Phil Collins solo albums. They're not really my style. Mm-hmm. They're just not.
Go on.
That's it. It's also very subjective, because this was the music that was ending in a lot of ways for me, as in the early 90s. As you got to, not even Nirvana. It wasn't Nirvana so much, but just more, rock than hard rock type stuff. Even Guns N' Roses in the late 80s, was something that, juxtaposed to this kind of sound, I liked more. You know, I mean, and it just kept
Well,
going
so we
that
were
way.
saying, people.
I'm just gonna say this 80s sound was something you wanted no part of
Right.
by the early mid 90s.
Plus, also we were talking about why people are so hard on Phil for this sound versus someone like Lionel Richie or even Elton John in the 80s, or Stevie Wonder. Like this sound isn't unique to Phil Collins.
No,
it was a pretty popular 80s pop
no 80s
sound.
production. Yeah, it's
and I don't mind it at all.
I don't mind it now.
Yeah,
I mean for a while, not just right now, but for a while I haven't minded it. It sounds good. Like it's definitely a bright album.
Yeah.
There's a lot of horn.
And again, you Padawan, along with Phil.
And one thing about that, I'll just say right off the is that I know that people always hear Phil, Genesis past Duke.
Yeah.
As sounding very much like solo Phil Collins, and I really don't hear that.
It doesn't.
I'm not saying it's not there at all, because of course it is. But when it was Genesis, there are those two added qualities known as Rutherford and Banks,
right?
That are pretty important.
This album had so many big hits, right? So Sussudio, Don't Lose My Number, Take Me Home, One More Night. I mean, it's a crazy amount of hit songs. And they're pretty varied too. One More Night is a ballad, and sort of.
The album kind of veers between the ballads
and the real dancey songs,
and the very upbeat Miami Vice kind of sound.
One More Night, is feels like traditional Phil.
Yeah.
A breakup song, and kind of lamenting. Something that was lost, or looking back, and I think it's a really nice song. And of course, I see your mouth moving. You want to say something?
No, I was just exercising.
I was just gonna say, we didn't say it. Like, you don't really need to say it, but Phil Collins, has such a wonderful voice.
Right.
What a wonderful song stylist.
I think I was saying like how he was so successful. I think it's actually pretty obvious. One, he's a great singer, and I mean a genuinely great singer. He's able to express emotions, I say this, with his voice, as good as anybody of that time. He's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's also very personable. There doesn't seem to be any screen between him and you.
Very honest and genuine. And
he's a great sense of humor. There's a lot to really connect to with him. He's not 6'5" and a matinee idol. I mean,
like Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, exactly. Peter Gabriel's 7. No, but he's easy to relate to, and then he's got that amazing voice.
Yeah.
He's got that phenomenal voice, and on this album. Before I forget, Slipknot, there's a lot of John Lennon, and I feel like that actually, I hear that more and more, like maybe through the I mean it's always there a little bit, but on his solo work I feel like I hear it more and more on each album. I hear a lot of John Lennon on this, in his delivery.
Well, of course, We Said Hello Goodbye isn't on the vinyl.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Which is my favorite song on the album, and I have always loved so much. And that song is pretty Beatlesque.
Yeah.
And very John Lennon.
Yeah.
Not only I've always thought that there was a bit of John Lennon in Phil's vocals for Always. Like that was a main influence. Like John Lennon plus the Supremes is basically Phil's vocal. I mean, there's other stuff.
No, yeah.
But We Said Hello Goodbye has, that the piano, and then just the melody and the way the chorus is structured, very Beatlesque, very John Lennon, and I think that's such a good, beautiful song.
It is.
Such a good song. Of course, you've got a Sting guest vocal, and you have a Peter Gabriel guest vocal on Take Me Home, which I don't hear. But I've read that he's there. I hear not the sting. I'm not talking about Sting. You hear that,
Not the
obviously. The sting you always hear.
Yeah.
He stits out. He stits.
Stits out.
I was thinking sting, sticks. I was gonna say he stings out like a sore, and I couldn't get it out. It was gonna be a joke, and
Sting. Tits out.
Tits out. Stits out. Yeah, on Take Me Home. But whatever.
I thought I heard it, but I'm not sure now.
He probably did. He's there.
Yeah.
I just, I don't think if I hadn't read that, I would have noticed. But maybe that's just me being stupid. That's a really great song, too. That's a really great song. Has that iconic drum beat rhythm thing. You know, the way it opens is very cool. You know, that's very, very Phil entry into the song.
Would you say you like this more than So?
Why are you trying to start a fight? Or why would we do that? Inside Out, I think, is one of the most dynamic songs on the record. It has such a great structure. I just love how the song changes and moves into each part. I mean, it doesn't really like go through like big changes, but you know, just the opening sound and then the verses and the chorus, and it's really just a super pleasant song. I just love it.
I think it's easy for me to just take this album for what it is. You know, it's well done, you know, well produced. There's some really good songs. I do really like We Said Hello Goodbye. I think that's a genuinely a really good song. And you know, it does kind of go from like ballad, the sort of Phil Collins ballad to Carlton.
I knew you were gonna say that.
In some ways, it's just like kind of like going back and forth between those two things, and you know that sounds like a criticism. I guess it kind of is.
It's just like it's mainstream,
but I can just take it for, you know, it's still just enjoyable. It is bouncy. It's, you know, it is dancey.
Yeah, and it's Philly.
I haven't listened to Phil Collins solo stuff hardly at all past this.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we do that, we could do a reaction video. It'll be like, thumbnail.
How dare you?
I'm just going to go listen to So.
Wow. I'm going to go listen to Mike and the Mechanics.
I'm going to listen to Tony Banks. And you can all eat my dust. Among other things.
Eat my what?
What'd he say?
Thank you so much for watching our brief discussion of No Jacket Required by Phil Collins. Please make sure to let us know what you think of this album in the comments. Make sure to hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit anything you want. We'll see you next time. Signing off.